Welcome to an On the Couch episode of the Share.care podcast. Today, we're going to explore how to feel greatly satisfied each and every day. Not just happy, not just feeling good, but a deep sense of joy in yourself and in your day.
Welcome to Share.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. Share.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning Share.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Welcome to an On the Couch episode of the Share.care podcast. Our belief is that global peace starts at home. Feeling safe, valued, and heard gives you a foundation to confidently step out and make the world a happier and safer place for everyone. Because in today's world, it's in your own selfish best interest to help others. So what is satisfaction? The dictionary defines the word satisfied as a pleased or So what is satisfaction? The dictionary defines satisfaction. So what is satisfaction? The dictionary defines satisfaction as pleased or content with what is being experienced or received. Now, in my life, I felt pretty opposite to that many times. I remember when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I've certainly felt opposite of that in respect of relationships, in respect of money, in respect of my work, the career that I was pursuing. Felt a lot of dissatisfaction with my life. Haven't felt really great. I remember, it would take into account thinking about, relationships, for example. I remember there was a time I had a job. I was working. I was single at the time. I was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and I didn't have any furniture as such. My bed was a mattress on the floor, and I remember sitting outside of the apartment in my car park, sitting in my car, listening to a sad song talking about why doesn't anybody love me? That was the lyrics of the song, something along that. I don't remember what the song was, but it was, oh, woe is me and nobody loves me and how sad is my life and how miserable am I? And the interesting thing was, I was sitting in the car and I sat there for ages actually, listening to the same song over and over again. So I was sitting in the car park outside of my apartment. I didn't have a relationship. Like I said, I had a job. It was a reasonable paying job. It wasn't, the highest paying. It certainly wasn't the lowest paying job. And I'm sitting there listening to this song over and over again in my car, crying my eyes out, thinking how my life sucks, which was, when you look at the bigger picture, was really is an interesting way of approaching that particular point in my life because when I think about, like, from a relationship perspective, it wasn't as though I'd never had a relationship. I'd certainly had girlfriends before, and even to the extent of, I remember well before that, many years before that, well, not many because it was only a couple of years before because I was driving. I remember I was driving along in a town that I was in, and I noticed this car was following me. Well, it felt that it was following me, and then as I'm turning, and I deliberately turned in a different direction and looped around to see it, because I'm starting to get paranoid that this car is following me. And there's a couple of girls in the car, an older lady, well, not wasn't too old, but mature, and a young girl, which she looked quite pretty. And but I just felt so. I looped around, and yeah, they were following me. And then finally, I decided, all right, and I pulled up to where there was a car park was, and so I've stopped and I've got out of my car. They've actually pulled up next to me. And the young girl in the car got out, and she said, I saw you, and I just, wanted to say hi. And I was a bit flabbergasted by that. It's like, oh, okay. And so I got her details, and we went out for a date a couple of nights later, which was interesting when I think about, again, sitting in the car crying my eyes out that can't I don't have a relationship. And bigger picture as well, it was like, I remember when I was in Perth, where there was a local hotel we would go to, and a group of us friends, and we were there and mucking around and stuff like this. This was well before, again, I'm sitting in my car crying. And I remember there was one time we're at the hotel, and for those of you who may remember, this is going back a little bit, we had what was called hypercolor t-shirts, and they change color depending on the warmth of your body. So where it was touching your body, it was one color, and different color when it wasn't, or where it wasn't. So the heat changed the color of your car, and it was it was a trendy thing to have at the time. And I had my hypercolor t-shirts, and I was wearing this t-shirt in this bar with a group of my friends. It was a beautiful, I think it was a Sunday, it was a beautiful evening anyway. And it was one of those open bars, and it was really nice. And I noticed, as I'm sitting there talking with my friends at the bar, I felt some cold on my back. And I kind of looked around, and there was a girl standing behind me, and she was writing on my back with ice. And then she so I went, oh, okay, cool, this is kind of cool. And young, I think I was probably 18 or 19 at that time, so it was like, some girl's writing on my back, this is really cool. And then she finished, she wrote, and then I said, oh, what'd you write? And she it was a 4-letter word, and then me following that. I went, okay. And we ended up having a conversation, and spent some time together. So for me to be sitting in the car crying my eyes out that I wasn't in a relationship was kind of, at that time, I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't have a relationship. I didn't have much money, and I'm sitting there blaming blaming myself. Oh, I don't have a relationship. Oh, woe is me. And it's because, I'm not earning enough money, and I have this apartment, and I don't have any furniture. I'm renting an apartment. I don't have anything, and my life sucks. And that was my way of thinking. And it was a similar sort of thing, like I said, with money, for example, uh, at that time, I did have a job. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people earned less than what I was earning. But same token too, it wasn't. I'm thinking, oh, my life sucks because I don't have all this stuff, and so at the end of the day, I'm not feeling satisfied with myself, because I'm not earning all this money. I'm not this big success, and blah 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 blah, and that dialogue going through my head was, again, how my life sucks because I don't have whatever it is I don't have. Even though, and it wasn't until much later, and this is probably something more for the guys, is that, it was certainly something I learned later on, that yes, money is important, having enough money to be secure. Certainly as you get older and you have kids to look after, if if that's the way you want to progress, there's a certain level of security that money provides, and that certainly is important going forward, to have that security to look after the family, whoever's working, not gender biased there, whichever, whoever's working, but to have a certain amount of money to take care of the family, to send the kids to school, all that kind of stuff, to provide for them. So there is that element where money is important. But what I did notice as I got older was, outside of that basic security, once you've got that basic security in place, uh, even without that basic security, money is probably not the highest on the list of things that women are looking for. So guys, just be mindful of that. If you're sitting there beating yourself up going, oh, I've got to have all this success and that money to have this relationship, well, I think most girls would prefer that you actually engage with them and have a decent conversation, or even just listen. Uh, those kind of things are more important. There's a whole bunch of things and different podcasts on that which you can look at or listen to on that topic. And this is where I was um, kind of like thinking about it, going, well, my life sucks because I don't have all this. And later in life, I realized that it wasn't that important, those things. And as I moved through my journey of self-improvement, I read a lot of books on achieving goals and time management and that kind of thing. And for what, this is again feeling satisfied at the end of the day. So I've done these time management courses, and some of them it's like, oh my God, you had to do so much more in your day, or planning your day, planning your goals. It was just like excruciating amount of effort that you had to put in, so much more than actually living your day, which was, that was kind of frustrating, because I'm doing it going, oh, this is what they say you got to do, and I'm not working hard enough. And so I've got to put all this effort into planning my goals and planning my life and planning how I'm going to do my day. And it's like, this takes so much more effort. And then there are other ones where, you write out all these goals and you've got all this list and you're looking at this list, and the day comes to an end. And I was looking at going, after, the ones that had all this stuff to do where it just exorbitant, I kind of gave up on that. It was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm doing all this extra effort to then plan my day. That just doesn't make sense to me. And then there was other ones where it was like, they were relatively simple about planning your day, but you're making this big, long list of goals. And you're looking at this list, and at the end of the day, I was looking at the list going, look at all this stuff I haven't done. Look at all these things I haven't, I could have, instead of watching, the TV, I could have been achieving this goal. And I'm beating myself going up, oh, instead of sitting there having that cup of tea, I should have been pushing myself forward. And it was really difficult, because I was achieving a lot. I didn't realize it, but I did realize I was achieving. I'm going, I've done all these things, but I haven't done all these other things. So even though I was achieving a lot, I was feeling pretty shitty about myself. I was feeling down. It's like, I've achieved a lot, but I haven't achieved all. So it's like, I've achieved all these things here, these small amount of things, small list of things that I've achieved. And then there's this massive list of stuff that I haven't done. So it's like, oh, I haven't done that. I haven't done this and haven't done that. And we come down to what, feeling pleased and content with what is being experienced. Well, I wasn't. I was getting to the end of my day and I wasn't feeling pleased or content, because I had this massive list of stuff that I hadn't done. Even though I've done a lot, there was a lot of things that I hadn't done. So I wasn't feeling satisfied at the end of the day. Now, why is it important to feel satisfied? There's a number of reasons why this is important, and we've all heard, and certainly there's a number of podcasts in this series, and there's umpteen amount of information out there about that. But there's a number of people that you listen to. JD Schwam, that's a good podcast to listen to. I mean, he's a person who's very successful, feeling dissatisfied, and then he's jumped off the Manhattan Bridge to commit suicide. Not that he wasn't successful, not that he wasn't achieving a lot of things. He just felt dissatisfied with what was going on. And how can that be? I mean, how can that be? When you're achieving all these things, how can you feel this dissatisfaction? And when we think about today, if you look at the research that's out there and the information, we have a society. We live in a society, certainly in the modern and civilized world, where you can pretty much achieve anything you want to achieve. You can live the life how you want to live that. Where we have those, in the countries where you have those freedoms, you can do that. Majority of the millionaires and billionaires in the world are self-made. What you also don't hear is actually, we talk about, marriage and breakups in marriage and relation, however you want to choose it. We use marriage as a specific example. They talk about, how, so many people break up in marriages, but there's also a very high percentage of people that actually stay together very happy. So that is achievable as well. So there are people doing these kind of things. There's people that are going out, making a lot of money, or the money that they want to make, whatever is right for them, and they're doing that. And that's the bulk of the people out there that have wealth today. They're not people that inherited it. They're not people that won it. Certainly in both of those categories, it's very common that people that get money, I think it's 76%, it's a very high ratio, will lose it within 5 years. That's the reality, because they don't know how to handle it. But the majority of people that have money is because they've gone out and earned it. So it's like they can do this. And so we have a number of people that we go out there in this world. We have the ability in our world to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve. So why is satisfaction important? Well, one, you're going to enjoy your life a lot more, and not, in the extreme side of things, want to end it, which is really important. And the thing is, satisfaction, feeling satisfied with who you are and what you've done, improves your mental well-being. Now, here's a list of symptoms of feeling happy and satisfied. One, you have an improved mood. Or that might be a statement of the obvious, but yeah, you do. You have an improved mood. If you feel good about yourself, you just are happier. You have reduced stress and anxiety, and this is very common. If you are happy, if you feel satisfied, your stress level drops, your anxiety level drops, and so that's another symptom. uh, Increased in attentiveness and focus. Again, people, when you're distracted, when you're not satisfied, your focus actually drifts away. It goes to all different things that you're not, and you can easily get distracted. Normally, as is very common today, you'll see it wherever you go, is that people are sitting there on their social media looking at a whole bunch of stuff that has no relevance to them at all, or to what they want to achieve. That's assuming that they've chosen something that they want to achieve. But a lot of times people will sit there, and I've done it, not very often, but I have done it, where I've sat there and looked at things and go, what am I looking at this for? It doesn't relate to anything that I'm trying to achieve, and I'll quickly shut it off and move on to something else. So that increased attentiveness and focus is also a symptom of feeling satisfied. A boost in productivity, that's another symptom. Well, that happens because if you're feeling good about yourself, you want to do things. You want to do things well. When you're feeling dissatisfied, it's really hard. Just think about that. If you're not feeling in a good, maybe you've had that, maybe you haven't. But I would suggest most people have had that experience where they're not feeling good about things and good about themselves, and then they've got a task to do. How motivated are you to do it? Your productivity is extremely low. And this is where it's important, when you're feeling, well, this is why it's important to feel satisfied. But this is when you feel satisfied, your productivity improves. I know from my perspective, I accomplish a lot each and every day. I'm going to show you how, and I feel good about it. So I want to do that. I also, when I say accomplish a lot, part of that accomplishment is having time to myself and relax. There was times where I go, I want to build some Lego, and I will sit down and build Lego and enjoy it and feel very satisfied with that. And it's all about that balance. Creativity improves when you're feeling satisfied. Part of that comes back to when you are in that state of mind where you're relaxed and calm, going back to stress and anxiety. When you are actually relaxed and calm, which is that feeling of satisfaction, your mind opens up more and you're able to think of new ways to solve problems. You become more creative. You become more, you have more ability to identify things that you might not have before. And there's so much research on that which shows that when someone's stressed, their mind shuts down. You actually shift to your more primal elements of the brain, where it's very focused thinking, in the sense of it's very limited in what the options are available to you. When your mind is relaxed, all of a sudden you're taking in much more information and you can be more creative. That also links to improved analytical skills. You're able to analyze situations better. And this happens a lot too when people are, for example, in a situation that might be becoming high conflict or becoming a conflict situation. Being in this sense of being satisfied, you're not, again, reacting with that the primal parts of the brain where it's fight or flight, for freeze, fight or flight. And you're actually able to take in that information, go, okay, what's really going on here? That person's upset. What's causing them to be upset? Maybe they had an argument with their spouse. Maybe they're having financial problems. And all of a sudden, you can approach it, you can analyze things a lot more effectively when you're feeling satisfied. Obviously, you have much more good thoughts, to put that label on it of good, but you have thoughts that are much more in line with moving you towards where you want to go. And then there's increased motivation, which we talked about before, with increased productivity. You're actually more motivated. I know when I wake up in the morning, I'm motivated to get up. I want to get up. I want to do the things and that because I know at the end of the day, it's going to be a good day. I'm going to run my good day strategy. I'm going to make the most of what happens. And that doesn't mean that, good, to use that term again, to use that label, good things always happen. Because I don't. And from my life perspective, there's been many times where things haven't been good, but the way I've approached it has made it beneficial to me. And even when, it's been really difficult, uh, I've approached it in a way that serves me, and then I feel motivated. So that's another symptom. But it's not just mental well-being either. There's physical benefits. It's shown that people that are satisfied have reduced cortisol levels. They have decreased blood pressure, so they're relaxed. I mean, think about that. It's just logical. It's not like you have to do a lot of research on this. If your stress and anxiety level is down, your blood pressure is down. Similar sort of thing, an increased immune system. People that are satisfied don't get sick very often. Well, they certainly get sick a lot less than someone that is depressed or upset with their day. You have improved sleep. I know from my perspective, certainly when I switched and learned how to approach things in this way, my sleep, it's very rare I'll go to sleep and have disturbed sleep. I will go to sleep, I'll feel relaxed at the end of the day, feel satisfied. I'll go to bed, close my eyes, and I'll have a great sleep. I wake up in the morning feeling good. So that's a really good physical benefit. There's also research that shows that your digestive system works better, and that's connected to, again, stress and anxiety. If you're not satisfied, you're feeling stress, your whole body doesn't operate as efficiently as it should. Your digestion doesn't work as well. Digestion takes a lot of energy, especially depending on what you eat. And if it's not working as well, that causes you to feel more drained, not feel as good with yourself. And again, that cycle goes through. There's a reduced pain and there's a lengthened lifespan. I mean, and this all comes back to if you are healthier, you're going to live longer. It's just, again, you don't need detailed research to know that. It's just common sense. If you're healthier, you are more likely to live longer than someone who's not healthy. So this is when we think about this, about feeling satisfied. Why is it important? And the point I really want to make here is it's not that you don't have stressful elements in your day. I know in the past in the past, let's say 10 years of my life, there have been elements that have been extremely stressful, like really, really, really challenging. To the extent where people close to me have said, how is it you're still standing? How is it you can get through the day? And I even had someone say to me, they said they looked at it and gone, I don't know many people that would be alive after what you've gone through. So it's not that life is not stressful, that things don't happen So it's not to say that everything is just this blissful, life goes on and hey, it's all wonderful and everything's great. That's not life. Life doesn't work that way. Life is not this smooth journey where everything's wonderful and everything's blissful. Stuff happens that you have to deal with. But that doesn't mean you can't feel satisfied at the end of the day when you have those stresses. And that's certainly the case from my perspective, where there has been some really, really traumatic experiences that have happened. And at the end of the day, I felt good about myself. It doesn't mean that I like the experience. That doesn't mean that the experience was easy to deal with. But I felt good with myself. I felt satisfied with how I'd addressed the situation, with how I responded to it, and the things that I did. And that's the point that we're getting to. It's not the circumstance outside you that determines whether you feel satisfied with your day. You can set yourself up, and this is where it's important. You can set yourself up that you will more than likely have a good day. And that's in the normal circumstance of things. And in doing that, what it does is when things do go haywire, when things don't go as planned, when you've got to deal with things like this big wall gets in the way of what's gone on, you can then, you have the resilience, you have the processes in place to deal with that in a way that makes you feel satisfied with how you reacted. Again, we're coming back to how it's not the event, it's how you reacted. So how do we do that? How do you achieve that? Well, that's where I said I did well, maybe not all, but I did a lot of time management courses and goal achievement courses, those kind of things. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, and there's some that just don't work very well. Admittedly, they've got good intention, but it just doesn't work very well. So I come up with my own, what I call, this is where exceptional effort was born. It's my own little time management, goal management program. And I wanted to create one that sets you up every day to feel good. And this is the thing, we can set the rules. It's our life. We set the rules as to what it is that determines whether I feel successful. And that's what I did. I set up and going, well, I'm going to say this is my definition of success, and I'm going to set the rules so I feel good. It's my choice. I choose to feel good about my day no matter what happens. But I set it up in that way to start with. And this is where the exceptional effort really comes into play. If you go to my website, damienandrews.com, you should immediately get a downloadable. It's free, and that'll give you the basis for this. And I'm going to talk you through that at the moment anyway. And there's also, if it's not on the website, the link will be there at some point soon, is an exceptional effort cheat sheet, which sets you up for your day. And if you can't find it, just email through. The link is there to contact us, and we'll send you a copy anyway. It should be there. But if it's not, don't stress. Don't feel dissatisfied. Just send us an email and we'll contact you. And if you can't do that for whatever reason, find another way of contacting me through LinkedIn. There's plenty of ways to contact me. So the first thing you have to do is one, choose what you want. Now, I'd say choose what you want because a lot of times, even I've done this, where people have asked me, what do you want? I've gone, I don't know. And that's why I say choose, because choose really opens it up that you have a choice. When you say choose, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, I have a choice. I can do anything. So you choose what you want. Now, you choose what you want, if the way I've set it up for me, and it works well for me, is in 3 categories. And I just make a big list. And I've got a big list. I don't look at it very often. It's there. And I don't need to look at it, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I make a list in 3 areas that I want to achieve, 3 categories. And the first is economic. And this is how much, anything to do with money or assets and that kind of thing. So it's how much money, how much income you want to earn. And it's important when you're thinking about this, I mean, think about the life that you want to live. How do you want to live your life? Now, some people want to, fly private jets everywhere. That's fine. Other people, they want to set up so their kids go to school, that kind of thing. It's all up to you. I mean, when you look at it, how do you want to live your life? How much money do you need? This is important because if you can't have the money to live the way you want to live, and I put giving back in here as well. That's to me, that's why money is important, because it gives you the ability to help other people. Gives you much more resource to help other people. And that's a big driver for me, is to earn that money so that I can help people. I have the ability to do that, and so it becomes okay. If you see, and this is the thing, if you can't live the life the way you choose to live it, that can be a bit of a dissatisfaction. So it's important to be clear about what it is, how you want to live your life. And when you look at it, if you take the extreme side of things, I mean, you look at someone like Warren Buffett. I mean, he earns a substantial amount of money, but he doesn't need any of that to live. He likes playing bridge, and he likes his house that he's lived in for all his life with his wife, and he's got his whatever car it is. And as he said, he has small wants. Um, so it all depends. It's your personal choice, but it's certainly important to know what you choose in respect of how you want to live your life, because that sets up what you need to do to get what you want. And we frame that in the sense of, you go, okay, well, if you're wanting to, you want to live a life a certain way, and you know, you might look at different employment differently. You will look at, certainly if you're not starting your own business, but if you're looking at employment, you might go, well, I want to live my life a certain way. Then maybe there's certain jobs you would look at. Being a barista in a coffee shop might not be, if that's your only, and nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. It's more a comparison to what you want to achieve. If you want to be going on international holidays on a regular basis, then being employed as a barista in a coffee shop is probably not going to help you do that. So that there will always be this longing of wanting to do that, because you're not getting there. If you have the intention of being a barista in a coffee shop, to then learn the skill to own a coffee business or chain of businesses, well, that's going to take you towards that, what you choose. And similar in that economic category, you're looking at, what you want to do. Certainly, owning your own home is something that provides you with satisfaction, because it gives you that sense of security. If you own your home and it's paid for, certainly in civilized countries where you have that property and no one can take it away from you, then that gives you a sense of security and leads to that sense of satisfaction, because you know where you're going to live. No one can kick you out, that kind of thing. So number one is your economic goals. How much money do you want? What do you want to what assets do you want to own, that kind of thing. The second category where it's important to set the goals is your personal goals. Now, these are the things you want to learn, how you will give, the types of relationships you want. So these are your personal goals. And I put those three under that subcategory of how, the relationships you want, how you want to give, and what you want to learn. Those are things that are personal to you. They're your choice as to what works, and the things you want to learn. I look at it from my perspective. Certainly, when I was in school, in high school, and even in primary school, I wasn't very good at English, and I'm not saying that I'm good at English now either, because there's a lot I can still learn. But I made a conscious. I remember I bought these. This is again before we really had the internet, that kind of thing. We had this stuff. I bought a set of books which was expanding your vocabulary, and the reason I wasn't good at English was because I wasn't good at spelling, and I didn't know how. I was trying to spell phonetically, and if you try and spell phonetically in the English language, it's just not going to happen. Probably the same with a lot of languages, but certainly English language, try to spell phonetically, ain't going to work. Then I learned there was a different strategy for spelling, which is to do with you visualize the word, you create a feeling that it looks right, or that it feels right when you see that there. So that's um, in neurolinguistics, a program within your brain as to how good spellers spell, and then you spell the word backwards as well. If you can spell the word backwards, you'll remember it forever. And once I learned that, that changed the how I approached and how I felt about, English, about writing, about reading even. Reading wasn't too bad, but certainly writing I always struggled with. And also too, I think the technology changed. Like when I went to school, it was challenging because it was frustrating if you're writing something out and then you spell something wrong. It's not an easy way, easy way to correct it. If you're handwriting out and you're at the bottom of the page and then you spell something wrong or write something in the wrong way, you've got to rewrite the whole page. And that to me was very, very frustrating, and I didn't like it. I still don't like it, but I don't have to do it now because with technology, a lot of times now you don't even have to write. You can actually speak to the computer or your phone, and it will dictate for you. So that's an even better function that I like a lot. Is more many times I'll just dictate things and then I'll refine it later by speaking. But that was a personal goal. Was I wanted to learn to be able to communicate better. It was a communication of whether it was in written form or spoken form. I wanted to be able to do that, and that was part of that learning. I attended Toastmasters to learn to speak better. Um, didn't originally go with an intention of being a public speaker, but I wanted to be able to communicate my thoughts and what I was thinking about in a way that was easier to be understood. So that's a personal goal. The other one is it's important for me in that category to have giving. How am I going to give back? And regularly, I mean, I'm constantly looking, how can I help and how can I help others people's lives? It was a bit of a learning experience that some people don't want to be helped. So, don't volunteer advice was something I learned probably too late in life, but it was, in many times people don't want your advice. And sometimes it's better to just put some suggestions out. And then if it's not welcome, then let it go. That was something I, again, struggled with a long time. But same token too, I was out at the shop the other day, and there was a person sitting there, and yeah, I could see the lighter. So obviously, they were homeless. They had the lighter there, so obviously been smoking, which all right, I get the addiction. I used to be a smoker. I get that, but you priorities. But regardless, not for me to judge how they should use money. They're looking for change. I pulled out a $5 note and gave them that money. And so that's with the giving part of it. I think it's always good to giving's for me is more about understanding that there's more than enough out there. And this is where it really reminds you. And I know from my perspective, the fact that I've been giving to people and still been able to live the life that I want to live, um, is really important to understand that giving component. And then the other one is the types of relationships you want. This is really important from a personal goal perspective. Understand the types of relationships you want. And it's something I never really focused on much when I was, or certainly when I was younger, for most of my life, actually, never really thought about it. It was like trying to get on with everyone, and it doesn't always work that way. I know there's certain relationships I was in, probably should never been in those relationships. That wasn't the type of relationship that was going to be productive for me. It was just something that I was used to. So I've gone and repeated that same that's being attracted to that same type of person or attracting that same type of person into my life. And that's not to say that person was wrong or they were a bad person or a toxic person or whatever. We just weren't compatible because I hadn't thought about the type of relationship that I wanted. And this was where, from my perspective, it became really important to think about, okay, what do I want in a relationship? Not just in a partner, but in friendships, those kind of things. And when I became clear about this is what I choose for a relationship, it became really easy to identify right up front, okay, yeah, this is the kind of person I'd like in my life. This is the kind of person, when I meet someone, there's some people I meet and you just go, again, not saying that they're bad people, not saying they're toxic people, we're just different. And having that having those people in life is going to make your life difficult. Um, and there's a whole podcast on that. We deal with that separately. But it's really important from your perspective when you're choosing goals, personal goals. What do you want to learn? How do you want to give? And what type of relationships you want? And the third category of goals is your toys and things goals. I mean, this is really important. You've got to have fun. What do you want to have fun with? And it might be, you might want to, go parachuting. You might, from my case, I've got a Lego collection. I like my Lego. I love radio controlled cars. As a kid, I have a collection of those, and those are important things to me. That they're my thing goals, and there's other things that I like. But that's really important that you set those categories. And what you do, I've made a massive list. I've got a massive. I don't look at it very often, but I do have. I know I've got a massive list of things that I want. Then from that list, pick the top two in each category that's most important to you right now. So it might be a case like from a financial perspective, an economic goal is you want to own your own home. Okay, that becomes your priority goal for that, and whatever other one that might be your priority goal. It might be you want to earn more income, and this is where they link together as well, because you go, well, okay, I want to earn more income. To do that, I need to learn some new skills. So it links to your personal goal. Personal goal, I need to learn, whatever the skill is. So you choose the top two, and that's where I said you can actually refine that a little bit by finding ones that actually correlate to each other. And the next task after that is, or the next step after that is to identify the high impact tasks. Your hit tasks, basically, high impact. These are the tasks that are going to get you there more quickly than other tasks. So not everything will get you there at the same speed. The idea is you want to identify what are the things that will get you there the quickest. So now we've got you don't have to do this all in one hit. So I have a list of big things that I want to achieve, and whenever I think of something new, I put it on the list. Then I pick out the top two. This is what I'm going to achieve. This is what my current focus is. And it's 6 things. That's it. No more. I've identified the high impact tasks I need to do to achieve that. And then you plan your day. And it doesn't have to be, on the cheat sheet, there's a detailed plan. It's really important. Certainly I would suggest doing the detailed plan to start with to create the habit. Once you create a habit, you don't have to do it so much because you've actually created a habit in your day where you're going to achieve these things. And this is where, from those high impact tasks, you schedule it out. And it's important to understand the difference between busy work and productive work, or busy actions and productive actions. So busy action might be surfing the social media, looking at stuff like that, that you're doing something, but you're not really, it's not moving towards your goal. Checking your emails. I don't check my emails I don't even have my email turned on where it alerts me. I don't know when an email arrives. I have times in the day, it's not scheduled in the exceptional effort course that I teach. It's, we do say schedule it in. I don't schedule it anymore. I don't need to, because it's not a habit for me to be constantly looking at my emails. I said I don't have it turned on with an alert, so I don't know. There'll be certain times in the day I will open up the email, have a look at it, deal with what I need to deal with, and close it down. And there's a whole process in exceptional effort which talks out how to effectively manage that, and it's a different part. I'm not going to get into that here. And so what you do is you set up, like today, for example, there's a couple of things. There's a goal that I wanted to achieve around the house. There's a bunch of wood down the side of the house I wanted to clear out and burn. This is down at the beach house. And so I've woken well, it was something, wasn't for the day, it was for the weekend because I knew I wasn't going to achieve it over in a day. But started a fire in the burner, got a big 44-gallon drum as a burner. Started that on Friday night, threw some wood in there, and progressively I put the wood in and moved it all down so it's in an area I can grab it, and I've thrown that in, and there's one piece left. As I'm recording this, it's a Sunday, so 2 and a bit days have passed nearly, or actually nearly 2 now, because it's about this time on Friday that I started it. So 2 days have passed, I've got 1 piece left. And this is where it's really important when planning your day. Plan your day, whatever you set up you're going to achieve, plan it so that you finish it. Now, you might not be able to finish the whole lot in one day. Break it up. That's what I did. It's a simple task, burning the wood, getting rid of it. And so what that has done is I've, excuse me, now, whenever you set up these tasks at the end of the day, you go, well, actually, I've accomplished that. Because all too often, and I was extremely guilty of this all the time, was I'd set all these tasks, I'd start all these things, and there'd be a lot that's not finished. And it's pretty hard to feel satisfied in yourself when you've set things to do and you haven't achieved it. So you've set yourself up for failure. This is where it's important. No more than 2 of those tasks that you can work on at any one time. And when you plan your day, you go, okay, I'm going to do this today. Today, I was going to record this podcast. It's on my list. I'm recording that. I'll cut it together, I'll finish it, and I will schedule it to be posted. It's not going to be posted today, but it'll be scheduled to be posted. And when you do that, when you achieve that, the satisfaction you feel in yourself is tremendous. Like, I've accomplished this. I've finished this. I've done it. And that's where I said it. If it's a big thing that's going to take more than a day to do, break it up. Okay, I've got a big goal. This is what I want to do. I want to buy a house. So what do I need to do today? Well, I need to earn some more money. So I'm going to learn something new. What am I going to learn? Whatever that goal is, you learn it. Then the day starts and go, as part of this goal, I'm going to study this bit, or I'm going to update my CV so I can apply for different jobs. I'm going to apply for different jobs that pay me more. I'm going to ask my boss for a raise, or I'm going to find ways to add more value so that I can ask for a raise. And I've got a whole course it's on YouTube on how to get more money in your employment. And these are not difficult things to do. So there's all these steps. The point is, what you want to do is set yourself up, set your day up at the start of the day. I don't follow on the cheat sheet, plan your day. This is what I'm going to do each time. I don't follow it to that regimented standard anymore, but I know that I'm not going to be fluffing around looking at emails and binge watching TV and stuff like that, because I'm just in the habit of doing that now, in the habit of doing what I need to do. So I'll go, okay, I'm going to record a podcast. I'm going to do some work outside. I'm going to spend a bit of time with my son. And those kind of things I make sure that I do. At the end of the day, this is really important. This is a really critical part of this step. Celebrate. Celebrate yourself. And this is where it's important to set yourself up so you can celebrate. You want to set yourself up so that at the end of the day, you look and go, I did that. I accomplished that. This is where it's really important to set it up so that you do finish something. And at the end of every day, even when something's gone really bad, like I might have an example of some legal things that I was working on for a client, and it just all went to pot. It just didn't go well. But I went, okay, I when the proverbial hit the fan, it's like, right, what do we need to do here? We need to address this, this, and this, and this. Okay, so I've got my list of what I need to do. I've responded and did that. That's what I feel satisfied about. Because again, it's not life. Life is going to throw you curveballs. It's not so much what the curveballs are. Sometimes proverbial happens. When your t-shirt's out there, let's say that, shit does happen. And it's not about whether you had those things happen, it's how you addressed it that's going to determine whether you feel satisfied. And the way you do that is that you create a structure, create a way you approach your life, your day, so that when you get to the end of the day, you can look back and you can feel pleased and content with what has been experienced. So how do you feel pleased and content? Well, you set up your day and say, I'm going to achieve this. This is my objective. And you achieve it. You take a step towards it. I'm going to learn. So you set the rules up so you succeed. And you look at what you did do. This is really important because this is where I struggled. I really felt so depressed and just frustrated at the end of the day because I'm looking at this list going, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And it was a really big mental shift for me. It was, and I don't want to say it was hard. I made it hard because I was fighting against it. I was setting up myself to make it hard. It's not hard. I just went, when it became easy, when I just said, I'm going to focus on what I did do. What did I accomplish today? What do I feel good about today? And all those questions, those type of questions have a presupposition that something good happened, that I should feel good, that I should feel satisfied, that I should feel pleased and content. And that's how I go to sleep every night. I go to sleep when I jump into bed and I'm laying there in bed waiting to go to sleep. I'm thinking about, what did I do today? What did I accomplish? It's like, I did this, I achieved that, I got all that done. But that was on my list to do. And that's how you can feel satisfied each and every day.
Thank you for being part of the Share.care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes for others and for you.